and welcome to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always, here at the Pig and Whistle in Stormwind, I go through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. This episode, we're going to be going over a couple of things. We're going to be looking at Mists of Pandaria, we're going to be looking at Legion Remix, and these are kind of the big main topics that we're going to be looking at today. But we will start off with the weekly news. As always, we have Aggregation of Horror, the Gobfather, and Reshinor as your world bosses for the week. They are located within the Ringing Deeps, the Undermine, and Koresh. They give some loot, so they're very much recommend doing them if you need to this week. Wrath Time Walking is your bonus event for the week. This is as simple as you do Wrath of the Lich King dungeons, and this will give you Time Walking badges. These Time Walking badges will allow you to purchase cosmetics, mounts, reputations, anything along these lines. Very much recommend doing these if you're looking to level a character or you're looking to just collect cosmetics, basically. It's very, very useful for that. Warsong Scramble is your brawl for the week. This is basically Warsong Gulch times 3. So you have 3 flags that you can pick up and capture, as well as 10 flags needed to capture in order to win the battleground. So if you have a very fast character, if you have multiple heroic leaps on a warrior, or if you're a monk or whatever, and you can traverse the map very quickly, this is probably your brawl, okay? But that is the weekly news out of the way. I want to start off with Mists of Pandaria, as it is the shorter topic this week. And I want to talk about one thing in particular, and that is Celestial Dungeons, okay? Now, Celestial Dungeons are something that has been put into Mists of Pandaria instead of looking for raid. And a lot of people are upset about this because looking for raid was something that people could do to experience the raiding content without it being a bit or like too tedious to actually do. And in my honest opinion, you can just pug the content. It doesn't take that long, and you really don't need that big of an entry level to do these raids, okay? I don't think that they are tough at all. They are great fun, but I don't think that they are a different level to looking for raid, pretty much. But these Celestial Dungeons essentially have the looking for raid gear inside of them. So the premise of these are the mobs have more health and do more damage, but you, as the characters, get buffs. And these buffs you can pick at the start of the dungeon, and there's one of 4 that you can get. There's usually a tank one, healer one, and then 2 DPS, one for casters, one for melee. And this will do certain different things. So the tank one will just give you pure stats. The healing one will put a ring around people that heals and deals damage. You know, multiple different things. They're all very good in their own right. None of them are like, oh, well, that one's just horrendously bad, so I will never use that one kind of deal. But the whole point of the Celestial Dungeons is to help people catch up in gear. And with Terrace of Endless Springs going to release very soon, the Celestial vendor will also get updated with tier gear. And this tier gear will be looking for raid tier. So you are allowed to get this gear without having to actually step foot in a raid, which is very good. This allows very good catch up for people. And I think Blizzard kind of understood that people in Classic are very tedious when it comes to actually accepting people into their group. It's been that way since Classic, since Vanilla Classic, and it's always been a problem. It's always looking for more Molten Core, make sure you're full BIS, and it's like you could walk into Molten Core with a full group of like mages in all greens and clear it. That's no joke. A full 40-man group of mages cleared Molten Core. Okay, no tanks, no healers, just mages. Same with druids, but the druids obviously have tank spec, healer off spec and stuff. So a bit different, but it is possible. That's how easy it is, but people are very much like, you have to be full pre-bis, have cleared Molten Core 10 times already, and if you hadn't, and you wanted to go in there to get gear, you know, to clear Molten Core to get gear, but they're asking you to have gear from Molten Core already, it's absolutely ridiculous. But essentially, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent there. The Celestial Dungeons are a way to gear up ults and help you essentially get to a very solid item level to do these raids, these first phase raids, at a decent level. And I think this is really good. The Celestial Dungeon vendor provides everything from a healer leather set to tank leather set to DPS, all of this to male agi, male int, plate int, plate strength, all of this, all of the different types. There is something for every single specialization and class. So this is really good and a really solid feature to like add to the game at the start of the expansion, because during Cataclysm they failed to do this, and this led to Cataclysm dropping off very quickly early on in its release, because okay, done all of the dungeons, I don't need heroic dungeons anymore, so what do? Okay, I raid. Okay, I've done the raids for this week, so what do? Okay, we log off and we raid log. Okay, for those of you that don't know, raid login is when you log in just to do the raid for the week and then log off again, kind of deal. I don't think it's too bad. I think it very much depends on the guild. I think if you're going for world first mythic, you can't really do that. But if you're doing this with like a very chilled guild and it's just a group of friends kind of getting together like every week, this is really good and something that I think is quite healthy, to be honest. And I think that's kind of the dynamic we have sometimes with our guild, where we will eventually just say, that's fine, the expansion's kind of over, we'll raid log, or we'll just do something else. We'll still keep in touch in Discord and stuff, but, you know, this sort of thing. But these dungeons actually allow you to level and gear ults very effectively, meaning that the expansion has more longevity. And that is always a good thing. You need longevity in certain expansions to keep them going. So this is a big win, in my opinion, for Mists of Pandaria Classic. Okay? Now, I want to move on to the big news that we've all heard, and that is Legion Remix. So, Mists of Pandaria Remix came out last year, and it was such a big success, they were like, okay, we've got to do other expansions with this. That's fine. What essentially the remix is a version of that expansion. In this case, it's going to be Legion, and you get to experience all of the content from that expansion just in a very accelerated way. This accelerated way is done via, obviously, it releases dungeons and raids very quickly after, like, I think they're going to release it every 2 weeks, like a new raid. So it'll start off with the Emerald Dream, and then it will move into Nighthold 2 weeks later, and then Antorus 2 weeks later. There's raids I've definitely missed, but you get the point. So that's the accelerated timeline, but it's also, in Mists of Pandaria Remix, you had a cloak. And what this cloak did was you never unequipped it, but you constantly added to it, and you added to its power. And this cloak could indefinitely level up. Okay, so you get infinite stats, infinite XP gain, infinite everything, okay, to this cloak. So you just scale indefinitely. There is no limit to this. And this is the sort of, the twist on the expansion. Okay, this is the remix of it. And this is really cool. This is a really cool feature. This allows you to level a lot of ults if this is your preferred way of using the remix. This allows you to farm content, farm cosmetics, farm mounts, farm whatever you want. And I do have to say this, Legion Remix, all of the characters will eventually go into retail when it is complete, after the 3-4 months that it's usually out for. Okay, so all of the characters that you have on Legion Remix will move to retail. Okay, they will. It's a guarantee. You cannot keep them in Legion, I promise you. So, what essentially does Legion Remix do? It allows you to level characters, it allows you to buy cosmetics, and it allows you to experience Legion in a certain different way. Okay? Because we're eventually, from my point of view, we are going to experience Legion Classic soon. I experienced Legion when it first came out. One of the best expansions I've ever played. Okay? It is definitely top 3 and really has a strong case for being the best expansion. It's that simple. I will have played Legion back in 2016 and now Legion Remix. After Legion Remix, a year or so after that, you will have Legion Classic. That I would have played 3 Legions expansions, and honestly, I cannot wait for all of them. They've done it in a way where it's actually quite spread out enough. Well, obviously, the 10-year gap between when Legion first released and the remix is a big enough gap, but the remix and the classic version, because Mists of Pandaria remix released very closely to actually Mists of Pandaria Classic, which kind of gave it a bit of a, do I really want to go through the Jade Forest again, that kind of deal. But honestly, it was completely fine. But sidetracked. What can you do in Legion Remix? Like I said, cosmetics and leveling is the main thing. So during your journeys in Legion Remix, you will collect something that is called bronze. And what bronze is essentially just a currency, but this will allow you to purchase cosmetics. Okay? These cosmetics, and it is only cosmetics in Legion Remix, we know, because in Mists of Pandaria, they made the mistake of making it so that you could use bronze to purchase upgrades for your cloak, and it was ridiculous because that shouldn't be the case. The currency should only be linked to cosmetics, in my honest opinion, and that is what they've done. So this bronze you can use to purchase different variations of the Legion weapons, the transmogs, the mounts, all of it. So they don't bring out old Legion mounts. Okay, they do, but they put a twist on it. They put a remix on it. And the example that I'm going to give here is Fel-infused class mounts. So back in Legion, this is so good though. Back in Legion, there were 21 class order hall mounts. Okay, this is for DKs, mages, warlocks, druids. Each class had a different mount. And this was based around their class order halls and stuff. You had to do a quest line for it. All of them were so good. Okay? But
let's take a quick break.
Ever wondered what a rhythm-based stealth game with dinosaurs might look like? Or a farming sim in space with zombies? Welcome to the Gaming Blender podcast. I'm Matt, and with my co-host Scott, we take a random game genre and random game mechanics, blend them all up, and pitch wild, totally hypothetical games you've never heard of, and maybe shouldn't. New episodes every other week. Hit play and unleash your inner game dev. No coding required. Search the Gaming Blender on your favorite podcast app now.
they are putting the remix on it. And that remix is Fel-infused. So instead of them being their usual, what was it? The mage's got like a flying disc. Okay, this disc came in a few colors: blue, red, and purple. Instead of that, it's going to be Fel-infused, so it's green. Okay, so all of these mounts will be very green. Now, I play a druid. The mount that we got, I say mount, we got a new flight form. So are you telling me that I'm going to get a Fel-infused flight form? So a Legion green, like, I don't even know what it was called, like a bird or something. How cool is that? I'm really excited for that. Okay, really, really excited. But this is just one of the things that you can basically get. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be for bronze. You might need to do the actual quest line for these Fel-infused mounts. I kind of hope that you do, because the quest lines for them was very solid. They were very, very good, so I would recommend it. But you can get other bits and pieces that have never been in World of Warcraft before. So another example of this is the Azshara-inspired sort of robes. So Azshara's got a very unique model when you see her in the Eye of Eternity dungeon. I want to say it's Eye of Eternity in class or Kata, and very much in Azshuna. When you're questing, you'll see her like Night Elf model. She has a very unique look, and you can't get any of this like transmog essentially anywhere within WoW. So this is something new that they are also bringing, that again you can transfer later on into retail. You do not just get stuck with it in Legion Remix. You get it in retail eventually. You get different multiple pieces like shields, weapons. One of the coolest weapons that I've ever seen is Shalamayne. And the Shalamayne is Varian's sword. Okay? This sword has never been able to be acquired in retail, in any version of WoW, ever. You are now able to collect it as a transmog, and it is a Fel-corrupted version of it. Okay? It's so cool. I love that they've gone with that sort of twist on the items, is the best way to put it. Something else that is very much there's two things that is very much one of the collectibles within Legion, and that is the Scythe of the Unmaker. This scythe is collected from Argus at the end of the final raid in Legion, and there are two versions of it, one mythic and one normal / heroic. These being red and blue coloured. They are again making a green or a fel green version of this scythe. So again, it's just another colour that you can go and pick up. We obviously have different sort of mounts and transmogs. There's no sort of name on them, so they sort of are unreleased content that have never been seen in WoW before, which is really cool. This is what they did in Mists of Pandaria. Any cut content they sort of put in, and these are usually mounts or transmogs, so I'm all for that. And then you obviously have different things that you can buy off of the vendor. So one of the things that a lot of people love is the first Satyr's Spaulders, and these shoulder pads are so cool looking. I farmed them. These are one of the only few things I've ever farmed weekly, and I did manage to get them. They are like a 0.9% drop chance. It's ridiculous. But you can buy them with bronze. So if your pure goal is to get these shoulders, you log into Remix, you start farming bronze, you see how much you need, like 3,000, it's something like that. You farm 3,000 bronze, which doesn't take a lot of time. I will say that it was very quick, because you get bronze from doing everything in the game, killing a mob to doing a quest to fishing, everything, okay? So that's what you want. Get that 3,000 bronze, log out, don't have to do anything again. You will eventually have that on retail, and if you can't wait to have that on retail, you can simply press a button that says like transfer to retail on that remix character, and they will go to retail. You cannot undo this, okay? They have stated that you cannot undo this. Obviously, you would have to make another retail or remix character if you wanted to carry on. But yeah, they're bringing back all of the older mounts as well. Any mount that you can get in sort of Legion as of now will be available within this remix as well. Now, a couple things that they are changing in the remix is, and these are the big changes, is the artifact weapons. People might be thinking, oh, but the artifact weapons wasn't so bad. It got to a point where it was pretty bad. Okay, I loved the concept, but they have gone with a much more simpler process to it. They have gone for, essentially, you get your core basics of the artifact weapon. So, for Boomkins on the Scythe of Elune, you get your full moons. Yeah, simple. For mages, you get whatever it might be, Frost Firebolt, whatever it was, Ebon Chill, it was, I can't remember. No, Phoenix Flames for Fel-infused, which is really cool. But you get the core ability, and you get probably a few other things like increase intellect by 10%, these kind of things that you unlock. But then there's 5 different strands that you can go down. These strands are nature, holy, arcane, storm, and something else. I can't remember. But essentially they're 5 different elements, it seems. And when you pick up artifact power or whatever it might be, you essentially can further on this row. And it will have conduits that you put in, kind of like what you did in in Legion, but more kind of like Shadowlands is the best way to describe it, when you put in conduits. And if you want to change, you want to go from, let's say, nature to holy, you can do that. You can do that as freely as you want and whenever you want. And you don't have to worry about the conduits. The conduits will always be dropping for multiple things. So even if you aren't on holy, like the holy tree, as it were, in that artifact, you can still get conduits that are for that holy tree. Okay, so you do not need to worry about having to refarm stuff in order to get the old conduits or whatever it might be. So this is a really cool change. I'm very curious to see how it works in practice, but I don't think it's that bad of a change, in my honest opinion. And I think it's definitely something that they can look and take feedback from for potential systems going into the future. I think that they are very much going to use the remixes as a test run for these sort of things. That I really do. The next thing that I want to talk about and probably end on is that they are doing a Diablo-style world tier. Okay? So, for those of you that never played Diablo, Diablo has different difficulties. These difficulties change the entirety of the world. Okay, not just like dungeons or anything like that, or caves or whatever. It is the entire world. So, you have Azeroth, you have the Broken Isles, where Legion, the expansion of Legion, is basically done, yeah? You have the base Broken Isles. This is where all the mobs have normal health, normal whatever it might be, damage, etc. Then, when you get to a certain power and you think, you know what, the rewards that I'm getting on this island, this world tier, isn't good enough. I'm going to go up to the next tier. So you go up to the next tier, the rewards increase, but the mobs have better health, better damage, and eventually they will have affixes. These affixes are from Mythic Plus, and they will get to a point where you can constantly upgrade the world around you so that the current world content is never out of date, which is really, really good. And it's something that I would love to see more iterated in WoW, in potentially even in retail, if that's a thing, or maybe like Classic Plus, something along these sort of lines. I think that Remix will be a very much playground for them to test out these ideas and potentially use them in either upcoming expansions or old expansions with a little bit of a twist. So essentially, this will allow you to keep scaling indefinitely because you get better world drops, you get better everything essentially. But because your cloak can always scale up, there's always a more difficult difficulty you can go to, if that made any sense. So I love that they're making these two very big changes, because it's not going to feel like we're just playing Legion again. It's going to feel like we're actually playing a different version of it. I think that's kind of where they flopped in Mists of Pandaria, where we're just playing Mists of Pandaria, but with a really good cloak and OP characters. Whereas this is okay, now we can really push it to the limits. And this is a different version of the game. This is a plus version of World of Warcraft that we are playing, which is really cool. But that is where I will end it for this episode. Let me know what you guys think. I think the remix will be absolutely amazing. And let me know what you think they're going to do for Gamescom. It's just around the corner. Honestly, 4 days as of when this episode goes out. I cannot wait for that midnight release. Okay, I really, really can't. But thank you all very much once again. And go with Valor, friend. Goodbye all.